All right, so I got this idea for today's video from a comment on my last video. CEO Studio said, also you should do a whole throwback look. The Helena music video was everything to me when it came out. So yeah, basically to do my makeup how I would have done it back in high school and just talk about like what bands I listened to. So anyways, CEO Studio gave me this idea to do this video and I'm so excited, so thank you so much for your recommendation. A drag version of my makeup how I would have done it in high school.
Don't think too much, just sip some poison.
All right, we're doing throwback high school Helena emo makeup today. We are very much going for like the 2006-07 era of Helena Poison in high school. Also, clock the shirt. My original Black Parade Tour shirt. I'm not going to the reunion or the Black Parade 20-year anniversary tour that's happening right now. I'm devastated. Yeah, it's on the bottom here somewhere. I'll try. Would you look at that? She still fits. All right, we're gonna start off with our eyes. If I was gonna wear makeup, it was either a bit of smudgy black eyeliner or it was like red lip liner smudged all over my eye with like black rim around my eyes. Sometimes I'd get crazy and do a spider web. I didn't really wear a lot of like that kind of makeup every day at school. But when I would go out or if I was taking photos for MySpace, then you know we were getting glam. We are gonna start off present day to do this with a Trixie Cosmetics Play Pigment in Big Top, which is the bright red. So we're gonna use that and I'm gonna use it kind of like how I would do it. So I would take the red eyeliner and I would color in my eyelid and under my eye and then I would smudge it out with my fingers. We have better products for this now, so we're gonna use them. So I'm gonna take some Big Top and we're gonna place it all over the eyelid. We're gonna go under the eye too. Nice and messy. Not a lot has changed. And blend that out. This eye makeup was really simple and I was obviously very inspired by Gerard Way and specifically Frank Iero from My Chemical Romance, how they were wearing their makeup during the Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge era, which had just happened at this time when I was wearing my makeup like this. In a lot of the photo shoots that they would do for magazines, Frank specifically would do this bright primary red smoked out eye with like black and mascara, and there's this really famous one where he did like X's over his eyes with black eyeliner over top of a big red blown out moment. And then I would usually go in with black pencil liner. I don't have a black pencil liner, but I do have the black play pigment. I think it's called Game Over. So we're just gonna take a little bit on a smaller brush and I'm just gonna kind of smoke out the lash line. But because we're doing drag today, I'm gonna smoke it out kind of like in an upward angle so I can get that little lip moment. Did a smudgy bat wing kind of moment. I think for me in high school when I was doing my makeup, even though I was wearing makeup and it was to like, I was always trying to do it in like not a feminizing way. So I would like avoid, cause like I have very feminine, pretty features to begin with. Sorry about it. But in high school when, especially in like the early 2000s, late half of the 2000s in high school, like it wasn't the worst, but being effeminate or like being a boy and not masculine looking was like definitely a point, made you a target. So I didn't love those things about myself. It wasn't really till I started doing drag that I started to love the feminine, like the naturally feminine aspects of my body and my face and everything. I always really disliked how pretty I was because it was a hindrance in that kind of a moment, but I've learned all the power in it now, and now bitches are jealous and could never. Also, like makeup like this was like makeup products that would do this stuff were really hard to find at this time. There wasn't like, we didn't have Sephora, we didn't have online shopping, we didn't have people making fun colors like makeup for fun. Makeup in the 2000s was still very much stuck in the make you look natural, make you look like everyday, like makeup being used as a beauty tool and not a form of expression or art. That's like been a shift that's really happened since like the dawn of YouTube and the dawn of social media, and especially not in St. Catharines, Ontario. The fanciest kind of makeup we had was the MAC counter at the Bay. and it was a MAC counter at the Bay. They didn't even have the full line. Darkened our eyes. We've got our bright red on. Now we're gonna move on to eyeshadow, which will be so much easier in 2025 because they now have the market and technology to make red eyeshadow. I remember for Halloween in the 10th or 11th grade, we went to Faces in the mall. Do you guys remember Faces? Did you have Faces? Comment down below. And it was like a cosmetic like kiosk in the middle of the mall that sold like different types of makeup, and they had people there. You could go get your makeup done there. Like girls would go there for prom or weddings to get their makeup done. But anyways, they had like single big pan blushes, and they had a hot bright red blush, and I remember my friend and I, we split on it. We went halvesies. So anyways, today we are going to be using Jolie Beauty. I was really high on an edible when I bought this. I watched a makeup video on it and decided to order it because it's so cool. Look at this. Like, just the perfect palette for an emo look. Alright, so we're gonna go into Stiletto, the bright red here, set all of this beautiful red down. Just packing it on there. I remember that when I wanted to use red eyeshadow, we'll talk about this in the wardrobe part too, but we didn't have Hot Topic in Canada at the time I was in high school, but we lived really close to the States, like to the border, but Hot Topic used to sell their own line of makeup. I don't know if they still do, and that's where I bought, like, I'm gonna try and find photos of these. I bought like their eyeliner pencils in like red and black, and then they had these little like 5-pan eyeshadows. They were so tiny. They were like dime size little pans. I love those. They're very fun for me to think about. I'm gonna use Secrets, which I might have had access to a color like this. I didn't have a ton of eyeshadows in high school. I was basically just robbing my mom's makeup kit full of expired Avon makeup because she used to sell Avon. Comment down below if you remember Avon. We're gonna use some of Secrets. It's like a deep brown red color, and I'm gonna use that to kind of soften this black down a bit where I'm a little crazy. Yeah, I was very into, even before I even knew what special effects makeup was, I was really into always doing my makeup to look like kind of like tired or sick, or like I had like a zombie virus or something. Like I didn't want to look well. All right. Now we're gonna go back in with our little brush, and we're gonna take some of Obsession, which is the black in this palette. We're gonna rub that right against the lash line here and kind of up into our little wing here. Yeah, I mean, we were working with what we had. I also did this a lot smaller around, like actually just on my eyelid when I was doing this. I didn't even like blend it above my crease line because I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to look cool. So you want to kind of bring it like down and out so your eyes are kind of like, look a little saggy. Yeah, see this kind of like drop down and out kind of look. Random thing that from this time period that I don't know if this is like a common thing, I've never really asked anyone, but I know so many bands, like rock bands and emo bands, through this one website specifically. It was called RockTunes, and it was a site, like a DeviantArt style site, where people could post their fan art of different bands, but it was all set up in a directory alphabetically. You could go to each band, and then everyone who's ever done a fan art there, it was like put in a directory. Does anyone remember this? I was on it all the time, and it's like so many bands, it's like I recognize the names and could tell you what they look like, but I've never heard any of their music because I was just like looking through all the cool art, fan art on this website. But the biggest thing about my makeup in high school and now, even when I do my makeup out of drag, is I don't want it to look neat. I want it to look messy. I want it to look slept in. I want it to look like I just like went like this. Like, I don't want it to look like I spent a lot of time on it. And because I'm me, I can't help myself. So there's this color in here called Heat, and it's a metallic, like ruby slipper red. It's not a glitter, it's like a metallic. So I'm gonna take some on my finger, just put a little cheeky glittery moment on the lid. It's not major, it just like helps add a little something. Also, if I were normally doing this, I would add like something shiny in the inner corner, but I think to keep it authentic, we're not gonna do that today. That just gives it a little something. I think that shimmer is like essential to a smoky eye. Like, you have to have some texture there. The most important part of any emo look is black eyeliner. Do I have a pencil? I'm a bad elder emo. I have moved on from pencil liner. I don't put black in my waterline ever because I hate getting it out of there. So we're gonna use some black gel eyeliner to really darken up around our lash line, and I'm also gonna put it in the waterline as well. I'm gonna keep it like that. I was kind of like smudging it, not making it super defined. There was like a thick, like precise liquid eyeliner, black eyeliner wing and that's it was like very in style for emo girls. But for me, I've always just loved I was doing like boy emo makeup, which was all about looking like sick and smudgy and like wearing makeup but not in a glam way. I feel so cool. I always feel so cool in like red and black eye makeup. I never feel like feminine though, because it does remind me so much of what I used to look like in high school and kind of still how I dress when I'm not in drag and going out and feeling fierce. But like, I feel so fucking cool. All right. Foundation in 2005 was a whole different game. Me, myself, I had a MAC Studio Fix powder to just kind of like block out my acne and like any redness in my skin, because other than that I wasn't really wearing full coverage foundation. The Scene Queens, they were all up in that Dream Matte Mousse by Maybelline. No one's face matched because they, you know. So anyways, the key thing though that's most different about today is that they didn't really do contour. Bronzer was for like the preppy girls, so we didn't do bronzer. We didn't really do contour. I'm gonna do a little bit of like things to help shape my face, but for the most part, we're matte and we're mostly one color today because all of the shaping and framing of your face comes from your hair. So it's like hair, cool hair and sideburns instead of contour. You have to remember Kim Kardashian was still Paris Hilton's assistant at this time. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and plop on this. Also, fun fact, beauty blenders didn't exist either, and makeup brushes were only for professionals. So a lot of people used either the disposable sponges or their hands. We're not doing that today. We've evolved. And don't be afraid to go over your lips, because guess what we're doing for lips later. Okay, so I did some foundation and set it. I used a little bit of this e.l.f. liquid contour. It's like a really light color, almost like gray, so it just kind of gives me some shadow and helps like shape things. We've got a full coverage base on. I did a little highlighting, but not really a lot. Not really a lot of concealer either. So now I want to show you powder products that I could use. So like we've established, there wasn't a ton of like it wasn't really, we weren't having like a complexion cheek moment as emo kids in the early 2000s. So I think we can do a little bit of like a light bronzer. So I'm gonna use some NYX Buttermelt bronzer in the shade 1 Buttercup. It's like really, really light. And this is really just to help reshape my face here for drag so we don't look like an egg. And then I think we can do a little bit of blush. Blush wasn't having a huge moment at this time either. It was all about like shimmery blush, things that were like barely there. So like, yeah, honestly, if you were wearing a blush, you were probably stealing it from your mom's cabinet. So we're just gonna use a little bit of this light pink, baby pink blush. And honestly, I'm adding it to make it look like my foundation isn't its full coverage, because we didn't have a ton of full coverage stuff. So I just want to add some like pinkiness coming back through, which I guess is essentially what blush is supposed to be for. And that's gonna be it for base, because we didn't do highlighter, we didn't do shimmer, matte. It was very much there's parts of emo makeup that was really inspired by like cyberpunk and like trad goth makeup, where it was like pale, matte, powdery, and that Cyber-goth influence is how we're gonna do our eyebrows. I've been trying and failing to sketch out some eyebrows here. Emo style was like an amalgamation of like a lot of other little subcultures in the alternative music space. One of them being kind of like Cyber-goth, which is very like creepy drag makeup almost, like very like graphic, thin lines, jet black, high contrast. And I'm also thinking of the song For Sure by the Medic Droid, where he goes, ew, she draws her eyebrows on with a fucking Sharpie. We're gonna do Sharpie brows. So I've kind of sketched out what I think I want the eyebrows to look like. This is what I want it to look like. This is what I'm gonna try and match it. So we're just going right in with an Epic ink liner. Yeah, because if we were being period accurate to where I was growing up, no one was paying attention to their eyebrows. They were getting them plucked into sperm shapes. And everyone had a weird sperm-shaped eyebrow and they didn't know how to fill them in. It was an interesting time. Those are not even at all. I don't get it. All right, let's carve them out. Like I said in my very first little video here with you guys, symmetry is a suggestion, not a requirement. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, all right. So yeah, so we've got some thin little eyebrows. We're gonna draw in some little bottom lashes because the darker the under eye, the better. So not my usual ones, we'll just do ones that look a little bit more like sad goth girl and less like cartoon animal. I do have a photo where I did my makeup like this and then I drew like a little spider web coming off the corner. I don't want to do that, it's too cringy, but I still do this to this day. I love doing a little doodle next to my eye. So we'll do a little X and maybe like a little broken heart. There we go, do some of that. Okay, so now we're gonna do lips. So lips for emo kids were either zero lipstick at all, or a really pale lipstick, or you would just foundation right over your mouth. Myth lipstick from MAC was really popular. I used MAC Paint Pot on my lips because it was the same color as my skin, and then I also used it as an eyeshadow base or to like blank out my eyelids for whatever reason. So to do a drag version of this, because trust me, I have looked. Outside of Myth, there's no like liquid lipstick that this color is. So to create that illusion with drag, I'm going to use a lip liner that's just slightly like a natural lip liner color, and we're just gonna outline our lips as they are right now. I actually didn't have my snake bites when I was an emo kid in high school. I got these, I think, the year between my first and second year of college, so I was like 19 or 20 when I got these, but I always wanted them throughout high school and I wasn't allowed. So once I got to college, I was like, I'm piercing my face. But I did have a septum piercing in high school, and I think I had my tongue pierced as well. I think that was, no, tongue piercing I think was after high school, but I got my septum pierced in high school. So kind of like that, so we have like a definition of our lips. I'm gonna go ahead and blend that in. So I'm actually gonna take some more of this just to make it a drag kind of lip. I'm gonna shade the sides a little bit. So we've got our lip liner down. I kind of want to try how this works. Okay, so we're gonna just take a little bit of concealer right in the center of the lip there. We're gonna put it right over the lips like that. And then I want to add just a little bit of this Stila. This is the lightest lip color I have. I wish I had Myth by MAC, but I feel like they've changed the color over the years from what I've heard. That's actually sickening. My toxic quality is that I still love this style of makeup. Like, this is still my beauty ideal. Is this nude or same color as your skin but defined lip? Like, this is still my ideal. This is still my goal lips always. So, all right, now we need a shit ton of mascara, some contacts as well, just for fun. Although red eyeshadow makes my eyes look really blue, which I love. Okay, we're back. We have contacts, we have lashes. I finished off my nose because it was bothering me not being highlighted. And I changed into my outfit for this look. So in high school, I was a big graphic t-shirt, band t-shirt person with a hoodie. I love a zip-up hoodie or a jacket. I've always loved jackets. So I went for this fishnet graphic tee. I actually literally had multiple shirts with rib cages on them, but one of my favorite shirts was a From First to Last t-shirt. So my favorite clothing stores, the places I went to shop as a teenager, were Hot Topic. Like I said earlier in the video, we didn't have Hot Topic in Canada, but we lived really close to the border. So we would drive over to North Tonawanda. Shout out if you're watching from there. And we would go to the mall and we would go to Hot Topic for my wardrobe. The biggest thing about me now and in high school and the emo thing in general was it was very DIY. It was very personalized. It was very, you wore things to show people what you liked. So another big thing was buttons. I had buttons, and these are actually buttons that I had on my bags in high school, which is really fun. And I bought these from a little place in the Penn Center called the Shirt Shack, and they would sell band t-shirts, belt buckles, and buttons, and like, they were not licensed. This person was just making buttons and selling them, but I didn't give a shit. So we've got some My Chemical Romance buttons, the logo, a picture of the band, another logo with the little gun and the splatter heart. This like graphic had a chokehold on me as a teenager. I have another one, a smaller one that says Fire at Will. This one might have actually been from the button set I ordered from their website. So we're just gonna throw on some buttons. I would usually put these on like my backpack or my book bag, but today we're gonna put them like a little cluster. And then when you were walking around the bus terminal after school, other people from other schools could be like, yo, you're into My Chemical Romance? And you're like, yeah. Or they're like, ew, you're into My Chemical Romance? It was all part of the fun. Good or bad, you let people know who you were and what you were into. God, these 20-year-old buttons suck. The next thing for me was belt buckles. I'm not wearing a belt today, but I did find this and I had to show you. This is my belt buckle from high school. I think I got it in like the 9th grade. And if you're an obsessive My Chemical Romance fan like I am, you'll know that this is Gerard Way's belt. You'll know that this is the same belt buckle that Gerard Way has. It's a vampire bat. It weighs so much. Another accessory of mine, this one I got from a place called Out of the Past, which was like a vintage store. They sold like Trip, if you remember that brand, like skinny jeans, like before skinny jeans were a thing, they sold them. They sold vintage clothes, they sold like demonia boots, like all of the alternative goth fashion kind of stuff. I also had a pentagram ring that I could not find. I thought I still had it. But I would wear that pentagram ring, and if you know me from high school and you're watching this, you know that I wore this every single day. I never took it off. It's the reason I got it tattooed. It's an ankh, and obviously I bought it because, and was attracted to it, because it was known as like the vampire cross, but the reason I actually bought it and kept it is because I'm obsessed with ancient Egypt, and this is the Egyptian hieroglyph for immortality, which is why it's known as the vampire cross as well. And like My Chemical Romance, immortality, vampires. My favorite My Chemical Romance lyric ever from Our Lady of Sorrows is, "Oh, how wrong we were to think that immortality meant never dying." So I found this and I'm putting it on. This makes me so happy. Obviously we're gonna do some more accessorizing. We're gonna do a little spiky choker because like I was an emo kid, but I was definitely more like punk leaning. Like I liked punk emo music. Like my holy trinity in high school of bands that I loved was My Chemical Romance, Avi, The Used, loved The Used. From First to Last. From First to Last is like still like nothing gets me going like some of their songs. I liked aggressive music. I liked angry, aggressive, conceptual, like using lots of dark concepts. Yeah, From First to Last, like The Latest Plague and Ride the Wings of Pestilence, Note to Self. And like at this time when I was listening to these, like their most recent albums were Black Parade, Lies Are for Liars, and Infinity on High. Oh, Fall Out Boy, Heroin, and then Fall Out Boy I really loved too. They weren't as aggressive. They were like the lightest band I listened to was Fall Out Boy, and I really loved them. I was also really into rings in high school. Like I remember my first day of 9th grade, for like most of the 9th grade, I wore like a ring on every finger. I don't know why, but I love jewelry. So we're gonna wear this ring, which I bought in the UK to match my Helena outfit. So I thought, and it matches the heart and everything. Got a little spider ring, and like I would just like line them up on my hand like this. We're just gonna do the one. Another thing that I loved in high school was anything with sleeves that had finger holes in it. I would wear long sleeves, and all my hoodies I would like cut a hole in the sleeves so they would come down over my hands. They were usually striped. I just have some like fishnets sleeves that I had cut off, so we're gonna wear them as like little arm warmers. What I was really into were those like wrist sweatbands, and they were like striped or checkered, or like I had one with like a skull on it. You could get them with like band logos on them. I was really into those. So this is like my representation of those. Other thing that I was really into, again, it was like a Frank Iero thing, was I had skeleton gloves that I cut the fingers off of, and still in almost every look I do in drag, I have a pair of fingerless gloves. So we're just gonna go ahead and throw on some fingerless motorcycle gloves. Another big thing for me as a teenager was that's when I started spacing my ears. And obviously I did it because it was like a cool punk thing to do, but for me, I did it because I have really big ears, like they're very large, and so I wanted my earlobe to be proportionate to the outside of my ear. That's why they're stretched to this size and why they stay this size. Like I wanted my ear to look like how I would draw an ear. While these spacers are beautiful, in the mid-2000s in St. Catharines, Ontario, ear jewelry at this size was very hard to find. You had very few options. Most of your options were from stores like Out of the Past or something like Green Earth, because we didn't even have a Spencer's. So I thought, let's do a tapered moment, because throughout high school I was mostly just wearing the long pointy like spike tapers because I was stretching my ears. So hair was obviously the point and the part of emo. Like this was all secondary to the music and the hair. So for me, when I was in high school, I dyed my hair jet black from like 9th grade until the end of 12th grade. I dyed my hair jet black. I had long bangs. I had long sideburns that I would flat iron. At one point, I had like a little side mullet going on. I had black with like a white stripe through the bangs that everyone called my skunk stripe. I wasn't mad at it. Skunks are adorable. I had all black in the front, and then the whole back was like dyed fire engine red, and I would like spike it up. I had pink through it at one point, but I've restyled this mullet, which was actually the hair I wore in the Manners PSA on Canada's Drag Race. I made it to kind of look like a Demi Lovato mullet, but when I was recutting it the other day, I realized how much this looks almost exactly like my hair in high school, minus the big bang. So we're gonna wear this today. And you'll see why we don't need a ton of contour and stuff going on outside of the eyes and the lips, because the hair covers everything else. So you can see that we've got hair that frames our face all the way around and the head. This is also why the eyebrows weren't a huge deal, because the bangs cover them. So yeah, just to femme it up and drag it up a little bit. It's a mullet, just past the shoulder mullet, and then it's all short and choppy, jet black. So yes, the hair was so important. And I think that this hair is like the perfect modernized version of what I would have had in high school. Rah. And the final step in me in high school was absolutely black nail polish. I remember my mom didn't want me to paint my nails, and she wouldn't get me black nail polish, and she didn't own black nail polish because my mom's a little princess. She's come over to the dark side though. So I remember one day in art class, I really wanted my nails to be black, so I painted my nails with like speedball ink, like liquid, like quill ink. We called it India ink. I don't know if that's like the actual name of it or if it was just the brand name, but yeah, like liquid, like jet black ink, and I put it on my nails. That's when I learned that your nail beds are actually some of the most direct vessels, like right into your bloodstream. And so yeah, I gave myself ink poisoning in both of my hands from painting my nails with speedball ink. Safe to say that after that happened, my mom went to Sally's Beauty and got me a $2 bottle of black nail polish and said, go nuts. Yeah, I couldn't open a bottle of water or pop without crying for like a week. My hands hurt so bad. Another funny thing, which is like, again, another weird thing I did to express myself but not feminize myself, because I've always had very nice nails, like nicely shaped, they're strong, I don't bite them, but my hands, again, and my nails are very feminine looking. Like, I always kind of think my hands look like the Tiffany doll from Bride of Chucky. Like, do they not? So yeah, to avoid my nails looking gorgeous and stunning like a fucking nail model, I would only paint the bottom half of my nails so it looked like I had stubby little bitten guitar munched down nails. Girl, I was doing way too much. And I have no idea if anyone else thinks like that. I think it's just a me thing, so I thought I'd share it. But if you did think like that, let me know. Ooh, we did a really bad job at that one. But yeah, black nails, always the finishing moment to the look. All right, and the final touch would be a sickening jacket. I'm not gonna put it on because it's very hot in my apartment. It is 32 degrees Celsius in Toronto right now, and I do not have air conditioning. But the final look would be a sickening jacket or a hoodie, so I picked up my little spiky jacket. I'm actually working on a video tutorial of how I made this jacket that I'm gonna put up on my Patreon page. So if you wanna see how I continue to be the queen of DIY, go and subscribe there to watch those videos. And yeah, this is the finished look. This is my throwback to me being an emo kid in high school. What do you think? Do you love it? I'm living. This has been a lovely reminder of why I do drag, and that is that Helena Poison is literally the amalgamation of everything that I loved about being a weirdo in high school, being an emo kid in a small city, living through that and celebrating that, because it helped create who I am and who you see here today. So I hope you enjoyed walking down memory lane with me. Comment down below, were you an emo kid? Are you an elder emo now? Are you part of the new wave of emo? Who's your favorite emo band and what's your favorite song? Let's have a chit chat. Let's be nostalgic in the comments. But thank you so much for watching. Like the video so I know you liked it. Subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be putting out videos for you every single Tuesday, or at least I'm going to try to. And with that being said, thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.
Hold on the line for poison control. Poison. Don't think too much, just sip some poison.